everyone, welcome back to the Mile High series. This is part 4 in which I interview Chuck Rozanski, the legendary owner of the world's largest comic book shop, Mile High Comics in Denver, Colorado. Now, if you didn't get a chance to see the first 3 parts of this series, I would highly encourage you to go back and check those out because they lay the foundation for the video you are about to see. Now, speaking of foundations, one of my goals when I flew out to Denver to meet with Chuck was to try to figure out what was the motivational foundation that drove the formation of the world's largest comic book shop over the course of a storied 50-year career in comic books. And if you think that the answer is that it's just about money, or as Chuck would refer to it as the pursuit of the almighty dollar, it is not even close. It goes far, far deeper than that. And I really hope that this video has the emotional and inspirational impact on you that it did with me. If it did, please make sure you share that down below in the comment section and share the video with others so we could bring a positive impact to other people's lives as well. And with that, I bring you Chuck Rozanski. So even with as many books as you have, it's relatively easy to find it because you're so organized.
Well, on many levels, yeah. There's always stuff that's in transit or in process, but what Frank's been doing is he's been going on a scavenger hunt, going around the building and getting everything that falls into the trade paperback category that has a perfect bound spine, and bringing them over here and then getting them on the shelves. Prior to his involvement, we had probably 30,000 books that were just sitting around, and he's knocked off about half of those, and he's still got more to go. We'll see some of those more to go.
Wow. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
All right. Tons of collectibles, by the way. I mean, I think that's worth mentioning. I mean, this is not just comics, Chuck. I mean, there we go. Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and everything's like in these display cases. We got Michael Myers from Halloween. I mean, there's so much stuff here. I mean, it's just crazy. Look at this. Look at this old Ben Cooper. Oh my gosh. I know I've got a fellow YouTuber colleague he'd love this. His name's Don, the auction professor. He would absolutely love this place. He would go crazy. So definitely a channel worth checking out, by the way. Yeah.
Our goal here in creating the store, and this is an extremely important consideration, this store is here for parents and kids to come in and have a place where they can bond with each other and share a mutuality of experience, if not a mutuality of interest. So in other words, you might have a mom come in here who's very much into Wonder Woman, or she likes Dark Shadows.
Love Dark Shadows.
Okay, well, but that's more of a female-oriented type genre as a general rule.
Yeah.
Okay, but then the dad might be into Don Post masks, or might be into Venom or Carnage or whatever. But the goal is that we bring entire families in here and we have something for everyone, regardless of what their particular popular culture interests are. And the number one purpose that we actually serve is a popular culture recycling center. So there's a perception that we're a comic shop, and during the summertime when we get people that are here nationally and internationally, we get huge traffic in the summer from tourists coming through.
Sure.
At that point in time, comics and trade paperbacks rise as a percentage of our overall gross sales. But this time of year, what happens is that we get scouts that go out and clean out houses and things like that.
Yep.
And we also get people that are leaving town. Denver has become so expensive to live in. The rent for a 2-bedroom apartment has gone from $1,000 to $2,500 in the last 5 years.
Wow.
And so
that's just in a regular standard area of Denver, not necessarily like some exorbitant more area like Cherry Creek or something like that.
No.
Yeah.
No. You know, if you look in the sketch parts of town, you can still get in at maybe
Yeah.
16, 1800.
Wow.
But for, I mean, just reasonable is 2,000, 2,500. So a lot of people are opting out. They're leaving.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
many of those folks have been here for years, and they'll have accumulations of various kinds of collectibles, and they'll always keep some.
Right.
But then there's stuff that won't fit in the minivan. And
Sure.
so almost by the day, we get people that are having to leave town that are bringing their stuff into us. And so we act as a recycling center for every pop culture genre that you can think of.
Yeah, I mean, just over here, just to show people, because I know I have a lot of G.I. Joe fans who watch the channel. They would just go crazy over some of the stuff that you have here. I mean, it's just amazing.
The figures are the hardest thing for us to get. We get a little bit more in the way of machines, but you know, every day that goes by, we buy more, and you know, we have, I think, 150 showcases in this place that have various and sundry things in them, but we could fill 500, but we don't have 500.
Now, where are you getting all these showcases and all these stands? I know we'll see later, your uncle built some of these wood stands that we got over there. But
yeah,
I mean,
the showcases, a lot of them came from our other stores, because
Oh,
at one
okay.
time
Right.
we had 8 stores, 2 of which were mega stores. And so the Garden Grove store and then the store that was in North Denver in Thornton, those were both 10,000 square feet plus.
Right.
So they, back in the day, and this is when the comics business was booming,
Yep.
I used to order 40 showcases at a time because that's what filled a semi. And then I would just make payments on those. You know, I'd pay $1,000 a week for 40 weeks and pay them off.
Wow.
I could never afford to do that today. The market is just, the comics market is not that strong anymore.
Yeah, it's not like it was. A lot of it probably saddened you to see all the comic book shops just shutting down, and they can't. You know, a lot of them can't survive. Although I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean,
No, it does sadden me. I think that, you know, I timed it really well.
Yeah.
I was 14 years old when the collectibles market for comics really started taking off, and 50 years later, I'm still here, and I've been able to ride the wave for 50 years.
Yeah.
So I see some things tapering off. But one thing I'll say is that there will always be some people who want comics and collectibles. And so I just keep buying. And it does frustrate Nanette. But hey, that's all right.
I
She
think
married me.
I think we got a visitor here.
Oh, yeah.
Is this your
Yeah, that's Cambridge.
Cambridge? Hey,
Yeah,
Cambridge.
She owns the place.
we love animals on the channel, so.
Oh, yeah. She just wanders around and looks for suckers to give her treats. Yeah, so what we try to do when I'm not out doing charity work, we work to try and add even more into the store. We just added all of these showcases. There was a bong shop that overextended, and so they had all these showcases available, and we bought all those, and we filled them instantly. A lot of this stuff that's in here is really rare stuff that came from Dave Scroggie, who was the head of licensing at Dark Horse for 25 years.
Okay.
He retired and just moved to Scotland, and Bud Plant bought all of his paper goods, all of his books, but I bought all of his samples, some of which were models that were never, so they were test models that were never actually used.
A lot of Frazetta stuff. Wow.
Yeah, so
Dawn.
yeah.
Guy for Dawn.
Yeah.
Sandman stuff. And art. Wow, you got cells and
Yeah.
wow, my gosh.
We just keep getting more stuff, and you know, we don't turn anything down. If we can buy it at a price, we get it. I mean, all these Zippo lighters came from Scroggie, some of which never went into production, and you know, things like Zippo lighters. There's a lot of collectors out there.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Huge.
and then Betty Page figures, and I mean, it's just,
Shout out to Betty Page.
yeah. Yeah, my goal is just here in the store, you know, and again, here, this is a friend of mine who lost his apartment, and had to sell all of his dragons, so he scored those, and you know, he was happy because he really needed the money, and we were able to give him a chunk of money, and so we perform a tremendous public service because things like this are illiquid. I mean, they may be pretty, okay, and someone may really want them as a collectible, but it's really hard when you have to actually liquidate them to sell them, and we have to have the space and the time, because sometimes we'll buy something like this and, you know, 8 years later it's still sitting there.
Right.
But where we survive is through the sheer mass of
Absolutely.
what we offer.
Yeah.
We're selling something every day, and we just but there's a degree of caprice that's involved because we never know what it's going to be. Honestly, and this is the God's honest truth. This place is totally economically non-viable. If you were to take working capital,
yeah,
and you were to go out and you were to go to any lender or any venture capitalist and say, look, give me $10 million and I will guarantee you that we'll make at least $10,000 a month. They'd look at you, you're like a total idiot, okay? I would be much, much better off to just bulk all this crap out, either sell the building or rent the building, because
right,
I can rent the building for 40 grand a month,
sure,
okay?
right,
And that's just the end of the game.
right,
Then I don't have to worry about anything anymore. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that you could never actually, on an investable basis, put this together. The only reason it exists is because I'm batshit and I don't care, okay? And I don't really care about money. I care more about creating something, about doing something in the world that changes it in a positive way.
That's what I want to get to, because I was going to say, what would you want someone to take out of that as like the main lesson? And looks like that's what it is.
Don't think you're going to get rich doing this. You're going to get lots and lots and lots of crap. And if that makes you happy, and it does make me happy,
Right.
okay, and then you can turn around and utilize that to make other people happy, and that's the part that gets me off.
Right.
Is, you know, when I see some 7-year-old come in here and just nerd out, okay, that makes me happy because it creates a memory, and creating memories is good.
Right. I like how child focused you are, because you've mentioned this in the past that your childhood wasn't the best, and you try to create a situation where parents can go with their kids and have a fun time. And would you say those early childhood experience really drove what you have today? Like, if that didn't happen, would there be a Mile High Comics?
No, there wouldn't be.
Okay.
Yeah, so no,
Okay.
that's an absolute.
Okay.
So no, I only created Mile High Comics kind of as a backlash.
Yeah.
You know, being told when you're 10 years old that you didn't clean your room well enough and make your bed so that a quarter could bounce on it, so take all your comics and give them to your best friend, and you can't have any comics for 3 years. That happened to me, true story.
Yeah.
And that was just a kind of just cruel.
Because your dad was he was in the military, right?
Yeah, he'd been in the military, and he hated kids, and he particularly hated Germans, and I was both. So my mom was 27 years younger than him.
Yep.
And so he got this beautiful trophy blonde German girl, but he had to take her little bastard brat as part of the deal. And he just loved to tell me what a worthless human being I was. And so, yeah, this place exists because, well, I couldn't have this in my life. And so now I get to have it all the time, every day, 24/7.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, I get to try and create an environment where parents and kids can have the antithesis of what happened to me, where they can actually share joy together rather than hurt and pain.